you could be the most religious person with the most perfect life and still turn into the most dangerous man in the world overnight. Welcome to 45 on the Hour podcast. I'm your host, Colt 45, and I'm here with Eric, the old man now.
Old man edition.
So Eric was trying to put on his Halloween costume, and you're going to be what? Who from The Wicked?
This character, his name is Geralt, and he's
Geralt.
from The Witcher. The Witcher.
Oh,
video
The Witcher.
game
Okay.
and The Witcher Netflix. Yeah.
Got it.
So,
they were talking about the play.
yesterday we had a Halloween party here at the academy,
Uh-huh.
and you know what it's like when people show up, and like you got to entertain them, you got to do all. So we had like a legit party. We had food coming in, and I just couldn't get away to get into costume.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a certain point where my hair wasn't like this. It was just regular, right? And the little kids were like, "Hey, you said you were going to dress up." And I was like, "Yeah, but like, who's going to run this party, And once the party got going, I had like this white hairspray or something that was supposed to.
And that's why your hair is white.
That's why my hair's white. And then I ended up going outside, getting like a napkin and like covering my face. And then I had like the kids like spray paint my hair.
Nice, dude.
But they would get my hands, my face, my mouth, and I would be like, "Oh, like you guys, like that's it, that's enough. Like we're not doing this anymore." So that's where we're at right now. Hopefully it washes out.
Do the kids call you uncle, or do they call you professor?
Professor.
They do?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like you're like an uncle to so many of the kids.
Friggin' their master. What the heck? Professor Eric,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, always, yeah.
Brother.
The
Brother, you're my brother.
You guys call me that. You guys call me,
It's a Marine thing / jujitsu thing.
Mm-hmm, my brother.
Yeah. Guys, we got a good podcast for you today. I want to talk to you guys about who the most dangerous man in the world is, all right? Because I think this is an important topic. And it's something for all you guys out there that are struggling with just day-to-day life, because this is a self-help podcast, guys. That's what we made it for. It's for us to heal ourselves, and obviously we want to heal you too. So this isn't just healing you guys, right? That's not the goal. It's to heal us also. So it's reciprocal. That's why we do this. Because we've learned a lot along our way, and honestly, this is just more of like a hobby to us.
Yeah, you want to like help people along the way. You help yourself, and we're always like getting that knowledge and like refining it and giving it back to our communities.
Correct. That's exactly why we're here. So, guys, going into the most dangerous man in the world. A lot of people do not know what I'm about to talk about. Some of you guys are saying, "What do you mean? What does that mean? The world's most dangerous man?" And it's probably 100% opposite of what you think. So I'm going to go into it. Number one, a man that has nothing to lose is actually the number one most dangerous man in the world, okay? And we're going to go over a couple things, and, this is just open forum here. I want to know what you think, bro. So what do you think a man that has nothing to lose?
All right, so first things first, like nothing to lose. One of my first thoughts is like financially.
Like, why is that dangerous, basically?
Well, maybe two ways. Number one is they don't have any money to lose. They've already lost it all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you have nothing, you're very dangerous. You're lean. I don't have to worry about bills. I'm already drowning in bills. So I could take that as the opposite way. Like you have all the money in the world, right? And if you lost it or you built your value upon something that, like, if you lose it, you lose your value. That could be very serious. You might not be able to get it back.
Okay.
So you might cling to that in a certain way.
I see what you're saying. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at.
Educate me. What do you think?
So when I think of the most dangerous man in the world, and I think of like a man that has nothing to lose, I think of him being reckless, right? So like if a man has no money, if a man doesn't have a nice woman, a good woman by his side, if a man doesn't have purpose, if a man doesn't, have, physical fitness in his life to make himself feel stronger, or he doesn't have like maybe an attribute that he's trying to pursue to make himself better. Like if he doesn't have any of those things, he can't be a real man. And in a real man, I think you have to have things to lose. I think that's what makes a man. Like a real man has things that fall in line with being a man, like having purpose, having, for example, if you have children and being a good dad, those are things in line with being a good man, right? Taking care of your kids, having the responsibility there, having the responsibility to go to work, having the responsibility to take care of your body so that you feel stronger, that you feel comfortable in your own skin, that you feel that you can put out the right vibe to the rest of the world and ultimately become the person that you needed to be your whole life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what doesn't make a dangerous man, because you may or may not be, like some people say, like, oh, you were in the military, you did all these things, you're dangerous, right?
Covered in tattoos, you have muscles.
You have all these things.
You have a bald head.
Yeah, you did all these things in the past that were like horrible and this and that, so you're dangerous. It's like, no, I'm not. I could be.
That's the difference,
right?
I could be. Mm-hmm.
Could be, but I choose not to be. But why? So that goes back to why I'm not dangerous anymore, why you're not dangerous anymore, why anyone's not dangerous that has a past or a history, right? And this is something for us all to know, because I know there's people of all different walks of life that are listening to this podcast for sure. We got people from both sides of the law. I know that we have people from...
We have people from Lancaster.
We have people from Lancaster. Ghost. No, we have people... We have law enforcement officers, I know, that listen to this podcast. I know that we have people from former gangs and other people.
Cole, that's
different
true.
walks of life. This literally comes from every single dynamic, right? And you could be the most religious person with the most perfect life and still turn into the most dangerous man in the world overnight.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm trying to get at here. The first one, and I'll go into the second one unless like you had something to add to it. The first one was a man who has nothing to lose, basically being reckless. Mm-hmm. You turn into being reckless. If you have nothing to lose, you just don't give a shit. You're going to go out with a bang. You don't care about your body, right? Whether that be physically or sexually, you're just reckless. Everything you do is reckless. You could have kids with other people. You're just having whatever, unprotected sex, things like that. Then you could get into not financially supporting yourself. Maybe you deal drugs, you go to that route. You're just like, I don't give a shit what happens to me in my life. That's what makes a man reckless, right? All those things combined into one makes the number one top pick. Number two, a man who is not intelligent, okay? And I don't mean intelligent as in like book smart or like I have an IQ of an 800 or whatever that highest IQ is or whatever, 1200 or whatever. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about emotional discipline, right? When you have no emotional discipline as a man, and you overestimate your abilities, okay? And what I mean by that is if you're putting too much on yourself and you're constantly just filling your pot with just too much stuff, like too many things throughout the day, and you just can't handle it, you end up losing control. You start spiraling. And I'm guilty of this too. I spiral sometimes when I get too much on my plate. Sometimes I'll get a little upset and I'll say certain things and I have to draw myself back in. Maybe I'm taking too much on, right? And it's the same thing that happens to a lot of men. When we take on too much and we don't know how to set boundaries, we become undisciplined and we end up faltering and we end up breaking character and all those other things.
So we need to have intelligence to know our limits, intelligence to know what we're putting on our plate, if it's going to help us or not. I'd also say intelligence is the ability to learn from mistakes.
Oh yeah.
If I keep, delaying myself 5 minutes every day, like,
yeah, dude.
To take a step back and examine it, and like, what am I doing? How am I getting in my way? Some people don't do that. Some people never reflect on their day or see where they could squeeze an extra minute of productivity. You had intelligence to change up the office to increase productivity. You know,
I'm
that's
glad you
not.
noticed that.
But it worked, right? Like boom.
Yeah,
It
everyone comes
feels
in a
like
better mood. Sometimes people need that, and sometimes it's not about just talking all the time. Sometimes it's about change. Change is good. Don't let change upset you in the future. Like
Okay.
let change be something that you just accept. Change is good. Change
Change is a
keeps
way
us
of
alive.
life. Yeah, it
Change is a
happens,
way of
dude.
life.
Come
Don't be
on.
fearful of change. It says it in the Bible. Um, we have a need in life to want to feel. I don't want to use like the word like arrogant or something like that, but we want to feel bigger than life. We want to feel accepted
We
as
want to feel.
humans.
We want to feel in
And
control of life.
and
sometimes.
men more or less are more complete with this because men are mostly individuals when women are more like a team. Women like are more about like their team. Men are like about their team, but as long as but men have like trust issues amongst each other, and we're all about being the bigger guy.
Yeah,
So
I never like. What is it
it's
like? You kind of don't want somebody to outdo you either.
right, because then
little
that
thing that like
right, it just makes you feel like lesser of a man.
Right.
We've talked about that before. But that's when we go back to the intelligence, right? The emotional intelligence of a man. The average man, believe it or not, overestimates their abilities by about 4,000%. Just think about that for a second. 4,000%.
I'm triggered. I'm not an average man.
Men are extremely insecure. They'll either not tell you, but they want to feel. Most men want to feel like that they're bigger and stronger and faster and better than the average man. Most men.
It's important to feel that way.
It's important to feel that way because then it makes you feel like what?
You're
A
on
man.
top of your stuff. I was going to say
Yeah,
an alpha,
just
but yeah, you're a
it
man.
makes you feel like an alpha, like you're the bigger man, you're the stronger one, you're the
You're the leader.
It goes back into heritage, or like our past, like when we were out there, fending for the tribe, we're out there like hooking and jabbing, like taking our food home, and then the woman was there to like cook and like take care of the children and stuff, because that's just. She was more nurturing, and the man had to be more stronger because the men were physically stronger at the time. You know what I mean? And still,
I got you.
and that's just like that's just the way it worked out, right? So men still forget about emotional intelligence. And that's why we're here, is because I never had emotional intelligence. I never had it. Until I was about 37 and I started having panic attacks. And I realized, like, dang, what's going on? Why do I feel like I'm going to die? And that was the whole change within me, is that I had to figure out what was going on. And after going to several doctors, the doctors ended up telling me, like, bro, you're so healthy. Like, there's nothing wrong with you. Your heart's beating better than the average male. Like, you're fine. You work out, you're good. And I was like, well, why am I having trouble breathing? All these, you have anxiety, bro. You got to learn how to deal with it because it's a problem and it's going to get to your head and it's going to smoke you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
This
sir.
doctor like try to get real with me, He grew up a little bit hood, and like he was having a pass with me in the hospital, and he was like, you know what, I grew up, in a poor family and stuff, and I kind of see where I relate with you. And he like kind of broke the doctor code with me, and I don't think I ever mentioned this on the podcast. And he was like, bro, he's like, it's everything that you're dealing with right now is here, bro. And he pointed to his brain. He's like, it's here, bro. You're dealing with too much shit. You're stacking it all in there, and there's nothing physically wrong with you. It's here. It's your brain. Your brain's creating this. And so after that, I was like, no, I don't. I was like in denial. Like, what are you talking about, bro? I'm fine, dude. I could take on more. I could take it all on, bro. I could take everything on.
I'm
dude, yeah.
I got
3
you.
daughters, bro. House, this and that, ex-wives and life and this and, money and finances and problems and business and whatever. I can deal with it all, bro. It's all good. But the problem was I couldn't deal with it all. But I was too arrogant, man, to understand that I needed help. And the reason for this podcast is just to let you guys know, all the guys know, is that you do need help. Everyone needs help. Even the best of us need help. Even the most proficient and smartest, intelligent men out there need help.
Even when I say I don't need help, I need help. Like,
correct.
I need help 24/7, dude.
And help is just acknowledging the fact that you're not better than everyone else. And we always say it, and it says in the Bible, I don't know the actual verse, but it basically says that anyone that doesn't believe in God, I can't remember how it goes. I don't want to say it wrong. But basically the analogy of it is if you believe in God, then you believe that you're not it.
Yeah.
So like
you almost like you could put it off on like it is too hard for one person.
We have to believe, like you have to find a way to humble yourself as a man. Okay, because men need to be humbled. That's the only way that we stay in line. Okay. women are more or less function off of their emotions. So they're more emotionally challenged to like understand and be more empathetic. Not all women, but a majority, right? Just like not all men, but a majority, right? And so that's just the kind of the, what do you want to call it?
The trade off or our roles or
Something like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's just,
But
that's just the
but you
narrative,
say like
how it
also
goes.
with the strength of the man comes the lack of emotional intelligence, the lack of feelings, the lack of empathy.
Right. And that's what men struggle with. The majority of is empathy. Most men struggle with being empathetic because it's like it's a trust thing. Wouldn't you guys agree? Yeah. It's like a trust thing. It's like for men, it's more like, oh, I've been screwed over in the past or I've learned my lesson. So I'm not going to be empathetic to your needs.
Yeah,
But
I have knowledge of this situation. I have intelligence. This happened to me before.
right. So it's like it's you already know what that feels like to
Hmm.
get let down, right? But you don't necessarily have to worry about getting let down again to not give somebody a chance. Like you can still give people chances. You can still learn to love again. You can still learn to trust again. I believe that's a part of life. I believe getting let down is actually a good thing. I think we need it
I've been burned in situations and let down, and
because it
me,
makes you appreciate the people that don't let you down in the future, right?
yeah, that's true. But it
It's
also
like you have
like
something to live for.
it to me it didn't make me like all right like the next one or something like that. How can I say like it also didn't derail me. You know, it affected me for sure. It hurt, but like I was back on it the next day. You know, I think that's something that we take away as far as like one foot and step in front of the other. Like just being a strong person, you're resilient. And sometimes, like you said, like an emotional thing can hurt you differently, but the ability to like let it like go through you instead of dwelling there is something that I've learned.
Okay.
Martial arts teaches you that I might be in a bad position right now, but it'll pass. You know, you just got to breathe, you know, address it, do the correct thing. You know, sometimes like if I'm swamped in bills, like okay, like what do I got to do first? Like pay the biggest one, pay the first one, you know, and just like chip away at it. To run away from it or to let it like what analysis by paralysis, like that's the hard one because sometimes you get stuck there just overthinking, you know.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think that it's important to understand these traits and like for guys to understand the difference between a man that's just out there being reckless because you can't trust someone that's being reckless. You can't trust someone that's not emotionally disciplined. You can't trust someone that doesn't understand that they may or may not have falters, right? I hate when like I hate when guys come up to me and like whether they're working for us or
Hmm.
whatever, and they literally think they're invincible. It's like, what are you good at? And they're like, well, I'm good at everything. And it's like, well, you got to have something that you struggle with. Like, I want to know your weaknesses, not your strengths. Okay, cool. You can lift the box. That's great. Everyone can. But like, what can't you do?
Hmm.
And a lot of guys have trouble like admitting that they have something that's like a handicap.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having a handicap. There's nothing. Like maybe I can lift more weights than you, but you could tap me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but like our strengths and weaknesses coincide. Like you can help me with jujitsu and then I can help you get stronger. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Like those are positives and negatives. But like men need to work together and they
Yeah.
need to acknowledge
But you know,
that,
Cole, I think you're also talking about like somebody that like a person that like I'm good. I don't need any help. You know, I don't have to listen to your
well, that's just
advice.
arrogance. It's just like you don't think there's anything wrong with you.
Hmm.
And that goes into like what? Narcissism?
Narcissism, or even you could just be like a young guy, like a young dumb guy that knows it all. Like I was at a certain point, that you were at a certain point. You know, humility is what opened our eyes to like actually we don't know shit.
Correct, which is life.
Hmm.
Right.
Bro, life
So
will
it's
humble you. You humble yourself, or life will humble you. You have two choices.
I love that. You either humble yourself or life will humble you later. I like that. Yeah, that's just life, just in general. And if you wait long enough, you'll be humbled over and over again until like you're just tired and you don't want to fight the battle anymore. You know,
And
because
so
if you,
that goes back to me when I'm like that, when I'm like tired, like oh, I don't want to keep doing this anymore. Like that's when I'm open to make the change. So like that's low on the intelligence bar, you know? Like I got beat up a bunch of times.
and
I
that's probably why younger people like have trouble like submitting What you guys think? Like younger people have trouble submitting to like authority or I'm the best and I don't need this and blah blah. Because there's some of you, I know there's some of your younger cats out there that are listening. And you're like, oh man, that ain't me.
This is totally
Like,
me.
nah, this is totally you, bro. You know what I mean? And the younger crowd just they just haven't been humbled enough, and that's why they feel the way that they do, and they have every right to feel that way at that point. Because man, I'll tell you right now, when I was 21, dude, I thought I was going to Iraq, bro. I was like, I'm taking everybody out, bro. I'm bringing like I'm gonna be like with force recon, bro.
Yeah, I
like
get you.
I was like crazy. I was like, I ain't ever gonna get hurt, bro. Like I'm good, you
I'm
know.
hard.
Yeah, I'm fine. Like nothing's gonna happen. And as soon as I got there, man, I literally like pissed my pants on the plane. I was so scared, man. Started just hearing the bombs, and that's humbling. And I was like, man, I could actually die. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
And then like,
Yeah,
I mean,
I
you were the
get
same.
you.
You
I
went
get
overseas too, you know.
Uh-huh.
But then it was like getting into Falcon, and then like getting there, and then landing in freaking Blackhawks, and then they were like, all right, get out, you get in, like there's dudes outside, and you got to be careful and whatever. And there's this dude on like a 50 cal, and it's like, what the, I just went from the rear. I was, just in Kuwait a little bit ago where there was nothing going on, and then before that, I was on a boat for like almost 5 months, so there was nothing going on, and all of a sudden it's like boom, like, and then it's like shit's real, and then I just remember that was the first time I actually got humbled was like a few weeks later. It was like 2 weeks we're training, and then all of a sudden we're gonna do this raid where we had like it was like 20 helicopters, like our whole battalion like took off, and Blackhawks and CH-130s or CH-46s and whatever, and we took off. And I remember we went into this raid, and they were like, "Oh, when we land, we're for sure gonna take casualties. We're for sure gonna get hit, and it's gonna be the worst thing ever." And they made it seem like we were all gonna die. One in every, like our dude next to us.
Wow.
And like it was this whole like dramatic thing, man. I remember like crying, and I wanted to talk to my mom. And
What the heck?
I was like,
this is not okay.
Yeah, I
Dave.
remember.
Oh my
I remember
gosh.
being in like talking to my mom on the sat phone, and like there was a delay because it was so far away, because we're in Iraq and she was in America, obviously, And I was like, "Hey, mom." "Yeah, son." It's like there was like this delay. And I was like, "God, just talk to me." You can't, And it was like the conversation sucked, and oh man, it was stupid. But anyways, like it humbled the shit out of me. And I remember like landing that day, and I remember like couldn't feel my heart, man. And we landed, and I got out, and then my training kicked in, and I was like ready to go. And then I remember getting out, and then we just laid down in the field, and we were waiting to be attacked because supposedly they knew where we were at. And I sat there for like 3 hours, and we didn't move. Literally, it went from dark to sun up to bright, and then we got up, and then we moved. And that was our first field op. And that lasted 30 days. And nothing happened when we landed. Nothing. Just a bunch of dudes like farming, bro.
Yeah,
like,
I get you.
pushing
Dude.
their cattle and shit. And like, but I remember the feeling of being humbled. That was actually the first time that I actually got humbled in life. Because I thought I was Mr. Big Shot, Mr. Tough Guy. And then all of a sudden it was like, but are you? There's a saying that like one of my homies had said, I want to say it right. He said, everybody wants to be a gangster until it's time to do gangster shit. And it's so funny, but at the same time, it's so true. And it's kind of like this old theory, like, everyone wants to be a tough guy, until you go be around a bunch of tough guys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, are you really willing to do that? Are you really willing to live that life? And at the time, I thought I was,
This is a time code where like we're young guys, like we're in the military, we're trying to be alphas, and like maybe your heroes or your higher ups are like the guys that have been there, done that, and so you're always trying to impress them, and to show fear in combat, like that's a sin.
Correct.
To hesitate, that's a sin. Man, I don't want to. I have like not a traumatic experience, but like one time I was humbled hard, and we were on a patrol, and I got lost. And dude, like
in combat?
No, in training.
Oh dang.
Okay, right.
You got hazed, bro.
For sure. But man, you know what I'm saying? I thought I had it, but I got lost, and I was just so like, oh, I felt horrible. I knew how important it was. I knew like, in a real life situation, I would have been killed, or or worse. But I didn't know I could fall like that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I'm like, bam. But that sucks, dude. And there's lessons like that everywhere. You just got to look for them. And the other thing that like that kind of stays with me sometimes is like, you know how I've been going every once in a while to go donate on Sundays to in the Skid Row,
Mm.
and like I just like look at these people and, like freak. Like, what separates me from them? It's like a couple bad choices, you know,
Dang.
and I could be on the street like
I didn't
that.
even think about that.
Dude, it stays with me, and like certain people that like I've gone there and like I look for them, and they're like homeless people, but they like I know what they look like. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, dang, like that could be me. I hope that's never me. Like it's why I work hard, so this is not me.
I hear what you're saying.
Hmm.
And I like that you said that. Just a couple steps from being you, Skid Row. Like you actually like look at that and you're like acknowledging that, like, but that's humbling. That's humbling yourself
It
because
reminds
like
me
you
of
know that you could end up there.
and that whole situation, Colt, reminds me of like being in battle. Like I would not like this is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like
You know what? So like I hear what you're saying. And before I lose topic of this, the whole point of that whole story that I was just telling you about how I had to be this whole badass and I had to go out there and just be like, "Oh, I'm fine. Everything's going to be all right," even though I was shitting my pants.
mm-hmm.
The point is at my age now, if we could lower ourselves to an understanding as men and we could have all been in that chopper together and I could have been like, "Damn, dude, I'm a little nervous to be honest with you, bro, but I got your back. I got your back no matter what happens, bro. I don't care how scared I am, bro. I'm pulling the trigger next to you, bro." You know what I'm saying? That would have been better to acknowledge the feeling because how we see things, life's a mirror, not a window, right? We see things the same as you do. You just don't know it. In your head, in my head, I might think that I'm alone, but I'm really not. I'm dealing
Yeah,
with the
we
same
feel the
shit.
same. We feel the same.
We feel the same. So why, if we feel the same, then why are we pretending like we're not? You know what I'm saying?
Correct.
Like, why do that?
Mm-hmm.
Because then that doesn't allow you to relate. Because emotions are relational. Like how I feel is probably the same way that you feel. You just have a different way of giving it off. Maybe I'm more projective in the way that I feel. I'm going to tell you, you know, hey, I don't like the way you're doing that. When you wanted to say it too, but you were like, you know what, I'm not going to say that because I'm a little calmer than you are right now. Or I have a different way of not being as explosive as you are. And like, that's why people are different. And that's a good thing. But I think that as humans, if we start relating more on like the lines of like everyone's feeling the same shit, so might as well just expose it. Like that's what we're doing right now. We're all feeling the same shit, and I'm pretty sure that 90% of the dudes that I was with in Iraq at my age would probably contest to like, yeah, they were nervous too today, but then, man, they were all Superman,
Crazy.
right?
Yes, sir. You're absolutely right.
But they were all Superman because they hadn't been humbled yet, and they didn't understand that until this podcast. Our feelings were all mutual.
mm-hmm.
And to make us feel better, instead of saying, "Oh, well, they're not afraid, I'm not going to be afraid." It's like, nah, bro, we could all die. So we have to be afraid because fear is what keeps us alive. That's one thing that one of our generals had said in a speech. He used to always say, like, hey, if you guys are afraid, that's a good thing. Use that. Because fear means that there's an unknown. That's all it is. There's an unknown in the presence. So instead of worrying about something happening, just accept the fact that it could happen and that you guys are together and you guys support each other and live with that bond and protect each other. But don't go into fear thinking that it's going to be the end all be all because it may or may not happen. So don't worry about something that hasn't happened yet, but be cognitive and understanding and know that it could happen. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it's like a voodoo. It's like a middle ground. Just get up, move forward, and then just deal with whatever comes at you if and when it comes at you. And that's the tool and the lesson for life today. So, if you're the most dangerous man in the world right now, you need to go back to episode 1 through 5. And you need to learn everything that we had already taught you, right? And that's just the number one reason for this podcast today is we don't want you to be the most dangerous man in the world. If you're that person that's sitting at home and you just have no purpose, no drive, you're not proud of yourself, you wouldn't listen to you, then you got to change a bunch of shit. Because at the end of the day, we did. And we were in your shoes at one point. You might think it's over, it's too late, I'm too old. Whatever your excuses are, it doesn't fucking matter. There's not enough excuses to change your life today and make yourself better, because we all deserve a life. We're all a gift. We're all a gift. And if you can't accept that you're a gift, then do what I did and consider yourself an offering. There's two different types of people you need to accept yourself as to be able to live a fulfilled life. Are you a gift? And if you are, you need to find your purpose and give it away for free. I've said this before. Number two, if you're above a gift and you want to do more, but you can't figure it out and you just can't figure out that way of life like I couldn't, then I decided to become an offering. So if your life was so horrible and so bad and so traumatic and so painful, and you've done everything you can think of wrong, and you just think that you just can't reverse that, it's just too tarnished, then go to church, find God, and then turn yourself into the offering. Because that's what it says in the Bible. We're all an offering. We are. We're all a gift. And if you had all these things happen to you in the past, you're the best person to teach the person that you used to be. Mm-hmm. So give that back. Become the offering. Because that's cool. Why you were selected in becoming that person today and overcoming all these challenges. Because everyone can turn their shit around. You don't have to be the most dangerous man in the world. You don't have to be a reckless person. You don't have to be an unemotionally disciplined person. You don't have to do all those things. No one wants to deal with a person like that. No one. No one. Not the cops. Not our families. Nobody. And you won't be tolerated by either your families or the law or whatever it is. You will get in trouble. You will get hurt. You will lose family. You will lose respect. And then you will be all alone if these two things persist in you. And if you want to change them, then you got to be the person that you needed most in your life.
When I was a younger person, the most amount of trouble I ever gave my parents was like as a teenager. And it wasn't because of anything that they were doing. It was because I was hanging around with like other idiot teenagers. You know what I'm saying?
So you're just a knucklehead.
But for no reason. Not because, but then my parents like gave me food, water, and shelter. The only things you need to be successful. You know what I'm saying? Everything else is like that's the base to be successful in this world, in this country. A person who can't like have the humility to like I don't know, like work hard, work on themselves, like move in a direction of up, like doesn't know their value. You know what I'm saying? Like if you have nothing to lose, you don't know what you're worth yet. You have people around you that need you. You have to inspire those others, you know? And if you don't know how to do it, like, okay, that's fine. Like, you're not there yet. You need to go keep working on yourself, and you'll figure it out. No one's going to give it to you, but you got to keep going through life in order to find out, like, who you're going to be. When we were younger people, you know, I'd hear this, I'm like, this person doesn't know what they're talking about. But now we're in that other generation, you know?
Let me give you something. Have you ever done counseling before?
No, I don't think so. Oh, yeah, actually I have.
Okay. So when you do counseling, and let's just say you're going to talk
Let's go back. Yeah, I have.
Let's just, real quick, you're going to talk about PTSD.
Okay.
Would you feel comfortable talking to a female or a male that hasn't been to combat?
No, I wouldn't.
Okay. So take that in and hold that for a second. You're only willing to talk to someone that's been in the place that you were at before, that understands, right?
Yes.
Because it's not what? It's not relatable.
Correct. You don't know what I went through.
Correct. So how the hell are you supposed to live a life that's unfulfilled if you can't go then for and teach somebody else that's been through the same life that you had led before? Like, I almost think that when I want to help somebody that I see in the same shit that I went through and they're struggling, I want to help them. And I know that they'll listen to me if I'm willing to reach out. So therefore, I end up helping a life, and I end up helping myself back because I end up reteaching myself why I'm humbled to be where I'm at. So it's like a reverse. It's like a big circle. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if you go back to like, and I have trouble with this. I have trouble like with respect. I can't learn from someone in jujitsu that I don't respect.
Mm.
There's been people in the past that I've rolled with that I didn't respect. Like I wouldn't want a belt from them. I wouldn't even want to put myself in a position to have to get a belt from them because it wouldn't feel right to me. It's almost like it's like marrying someone that you're really not in love with. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how could you do that? You know what I'm saying? You're just going to feel like this weird feeling in your stomach. It's just not going to feel right. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, yes, yes.
Like I have to learn from someone that I want to be like.
Correct.
And if I can't be like you, then I can't hear you. I literally can't hear you. Like no matter what you're saying to me, it's like, bird, like I turn down the volume and it's mute. You know what I'm saying? So going back, when you find the person that you want to be like, that's when you need to listen to them. Is if you would accept you want to be that person.
You want that knowledge. You want that
knowledge.
wisdom.
Right. And so that therefore you don't want to be the same old person.
You know, Cole, a lot of people think because I have gray hair, white hair, that I'm very wise. That's not the case. It's just a lot of trial and error.
I was thinking like Yoda or something like that, you know? Like
With wisdom comes age, huh?
It does,
Yeah, dude.
Anyways, I hope this helps you guys. Don't be the most dangerous man in the world. Ain't nobody want to see that. There's so much purpose in this world, and there's so much help that people need right now. Just people of all walks of life. We all have a different background. We all come from pain. We come from struggling lives. We're still in pain. But the thing is that we can all heal a little bit every day together.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the more that human beings realize how much we actually need each other, that's when we actually come together as one. Because we are all one under God. We're no different. It don't matter your background, gay, lesbian, trans, black, white, alien,
rich, poor.
Mm-hmm. It don't matter. You know, we come from different walks of life, and the only thing that we can do is be together through the end and learn to accept each other for who we are and then help each other heal together. That's the only way that we get through this. So I challenge you guys today. I'm gonna put a challenge out there. Find one person to help. And I want you to help them get through whatever it is for the entire week. That's the goal. Find someone that's struggling with something. Like put yourself out there, check in with them. If you're a military person, that's easy for us because we always check in on our war buddies, right? We text our war buddies, hey man, how you doing? It's been 10 years, right? We always check in, right? You know? It's like an old military term. Like it don't matter when you come back into their life, you pick up where you left off. It's weird. But it's one of those things where we just have that mutual respect for an individual. Find someone that relates to you in the way that you used to be. So if you're someone that's been working on yourself and you're finding love within yourself and you're accepting that you can't be in control over everything, because how fun would that be if life was all about you could have everything you wanted, you know? Take that control, take that anger. Look at your anger when it triggers you as like a sensor light, you know, just going off in the car. It just means something's going on underneath the hood, okay? And I want you to find someone that relates to you in the ways that you relate to yourself and the ways that you need to be fixed. So if there's something you're struggling with, if you're struggling with anger, find someone with anger problems and then just adopt them. And then go straight to them and say, hey, man, I want to be there for you, dude. I know you're going through some shit. What do you need help with, man? What are you talking about? Just be there for them. Just talk to them. Why do you feel angry? Why do you feel like you need to go smash that person's face? Why do you feel like you need to go destroy shit? You know? Well, how am I going to get through it? Blah, blah. Okay, cool. Well, for one, you're a victim. This is what we need to do. We need to get you in jiu-jitsu. Call Eric Medina up. He'll help you out. Let's get you humbled, bro.
Physical counseling.
Correct. Yeah. Or if you're someone that doesn't feel loved, give the opposite of what you feel. I know it's hard, but whatever you feel inside, you need to give the complete opposite to somebody else. I struggle with love my whole freaking life, not feeling loved. So I give the most love, even though I don't feel it. Because if you give it, then you can receive it. So if you find somebody that struggles with something, pick the person that's exactly who you are today, or the person that you used to be if you're fully, if you've been healed, and then focus on that person, and just make it your mission to change and help them as much as you can, with boundaries, of course, right? Be there for them. Talk to them till you're blue in the face. Give them examples on how to help themselves. Give them tools to overcome things, and just help them get through it. Because in the end, it's always going to help you heal 1% better. And that's what we're trying to get at, guys, every single day. It's just that extra 1%. 1% a day, guys. Okay? That was a good one.
Yeah.
Thank
Shout
you.
out to the Dodgers.
For threes, baby.
What else?
Well, they just got back in LA this morning, I think.
You heard the Joe Rogan Trump interview?
Mm.
That was a good one too. The next episode, maybe.
Possibly, yeah.
Mhm.
That's a tough one. We never really talked about politics.
The next time we meet, will the
Just
election be
to put it
decided?
out there, guys, I actually stand in the middle.
Yeah.
I'm not a Democrat or a Republican, and that has a lot of that has to do with how I grew up, my past, and obviously being in the military. So I kind of see both sides. I grew up with a poor single mother, and my dad's obviously a transgender, and then I went in the Marine Corps. And then I own businesses, so
That just puts you right
I'm
in the middle, yeah.
right in the freaking middle. Voted for Obama, and now I voted for Trump. That's my point of view. If you guys want to know, I'm not afraid to say it. But that's where I stand. But at the same time, I'm all about the right person for the job. That's me. I don't care who you are, really don't. As long as you're the right person, and I believe that you have the country's best interest in mind, my family's best interest in mind, and you definitely protect this country and you respect those that have served our country. And if you have all those things in line, and you're not trying to let illegal immigrants in by the doves to take all my benefits, then we're good, right? So anyways, not to get too political, but I love everybody, and there's really not that many people that I dislike in this world.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to keep fighting to save a life till the day I die.
Oh.
Pretty good end, right?
Yeah, dude, that's it. That's the clip.
Other than that, guys, get up, get after it, and get some.